Narc-Talk, and today's topic is going to be devalue. Okay, as we all understand, narcissistic relationships have three phases. One, the love bombing, where they give you all the love they can possibly give you, at least they think. And then phase two is devalue, and phase three is disregard. Okay, now we all understand. I'm going to touch a little bit on devalue, love bombing phase, so we understand it. Now, if you're new to Narc-Talk, I'm going to give you a little bit of content on love bombing. So now, love bombing is when you meet the narcissist and they basically love bomb you, right? Like they basically do everything and anything to impress you, to make sure that you fall for them. Girl, let me tell you, this phase is dangerous because most of us find ourselves in love. At least we think, right? Victims usually think they're in love because, this person is showing up as everything they ever wanted, right? But then the narcissist is completely thinking a whole different story. For them, it's a chore. It's just a task that they have to do to hook you in until they can start devaluing you. So now fast forward to devalue. So usually in devalue phase, the narcissist is doing everything opposite of what they were doing in love bombing phase. Now remember, in love bombing phase, they were giving you everything. They were giving you the world. They were giving you flowers. They sent you good morning text every morning, right? Lunchtime, they sent you text. I hope you have a good day. I mean, the lovey-dovey, all the good feeling stuff, right? Now in devalue phase, they're doing the opposites. So if they texted you in the morning, they're not sending you that text in the morning, right? If they had a habit of like visiting you at work, they no longer visit you at work. Now, this devalue phase is usually where the narcissists have put up a mask from the love bombing phase, and now they're getting to devalue phase. They can't keep up the persona anymore, and the mask drop, and that's where you get to really see who they are. I mean, the nasty start coming out. Now, it varies for every relationship, and it varies for every narcissist, right? But really, the timeline and how they do things is pretty much the same, right? Like relationships they go through, they're all very similar. So if they started dating someone for, let's say, the first 6 months, right? Like around the 6-month mark, they start devaluing them. And the way the devalue starts sometimes, it's very, very subtle, right? But before I continue, I would like you to click the button below, like my video and subscribe so you can keep seeing my videos when I post, because I have a lot to say and I can't wait to share. But yeah, so during this devalue phase, they'll start pointing out your small subtle things, right? Like let's say you like going for a jog at a certain time. Now that thing that you like to do that they loved in a bombing phase, it becomes a problem. Now they don't like that. They start little by little planting these seeds of like doubts where they'll say, well, you always go for a run. Can you just stay in with me? Now, in a regular and normal relationship, if it happens once, yeah, okay, sure. I'll stay in with you. No biggie, no problem. But then with the narcissist relationship, you find this happening very often. And it grows and grows and grows and get bigger, right? They start devaluing things like, the things that they claim they loved about you, now it's a problem. Now, when you show any type of like resistance to their requests, right, to their devalue, then sometimes what they will do is they will love bomb you. So it's like you have these two phases going on at the same time, right? You're coming out of this love bombing phase and getting into this devalue phase, but then when you show resistance, they love bomb you. So it's an emotional roller coaster. That's the best way I can put it. It's an emotional roller coaster where you're starting to, hold them accountable. Because narcissists, let's get it. I mean, let's be honest. They don't like being held accountable. They do not. Everything is your fault. They cannot do any wrong. They're always right. Yeah, I think that sums it up. That is a narcissist, to be honest with you. So when you start holding them accountable, they don't like that. They continue to devalue you. And then when they see that you're starting to wake up to their patterns of devalue, they will love bomb you, whether it's a date, flowers, or even sometimes being petty, like crying for more, Like, please don't leave me. I need you. I can't live without you. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of manipulation that they will use in order to make sure that you stay in a certain spot. And all that, don't take it for, oh, they're trying, or to feel sorry for them. It's all just to stay in control. It's a really controlling behavior. A narcissist they don't want love. No, they don't know what love means at all. All they know is control. Let me stay in control. If I can control this person, I'm in power, I feel good, they can do anything they want, right? And the value phase, it's one of those where in love bombing, you're treated like a queen, a king, or this higher person here. You're being held to a higher standard where you're on a pedestal, basically. And the devalue phase is where you're being knocked off that pedestal, right? And they'll do subtle things like compare you to other people, or even make a comment. And the worst thing that they will say is, "Oh, you're overreacting." They'll gaslight you, right? If you even mention to them, they'll gaslight you. They'll say you're too sensitive. They'll say you're overreacting. No, you're not overreacting. It's them just trying to, again, gaslight you to a point where they can love bomb you even more. So there's a lot that goes on into that phase. That devalue phase is where they break you down emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically. Let's face it. In some narc relationship, they get physical, depending on how their level of control, they have. If they feel like they're out of control, they can get physical sometime. But well-adjusted narc, they know how to manipulate without having to get physical. There's a lot of things that goes into it. There's the silent treatment. It's all just form of controlling. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story. So with my narc, when I was going through my value phase, I loved going out. My narc loved going out with me. We loved dancing. Well, at least I thought we did, right? But no, I loved dancing. They hated it. I just didn't know that. But during my devalue phase, they just refused to go out with me. If you want to go out, go by yourself. And I was like, but you love doing this with me. I thought this was our thing. Come to learn, it actually was never our thing. They only did it because they thought I want them to do it. And I've never asked my narc to do it for me. I've never said, hey, you have to do this for me. No, I had my own life going on, had my own thing going on. And they just kind of injected themselves into my life and let's not say they actually did take over my life, and it's the worst mental abuse, to be honest. It's the worst. So if you're going through this, please, 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 the number one thing to do, stick around with your supportive system. Your support system will be your number one go-to. They're the one who are going to be able to support you, because the narcissist's job is to cut you off from everybody. The narcissists just want you and them. And they'll give you a reason to think that everybody around you has something negative to do for you. Everyone around you, it's your enemy. They're the only one who can do right. They're the only one you need because they're a soulmate, right? Because you're the only one. But all that really, it's just manipulation to make sure that they can manipulate you more and abuse you more. What's the best way to hurt an empath is to cut off their support system and then corner them into a isolated space and just abuse them in how they like, emotionally, physically. They don't have anybody to help them. And because there's this dance of they create this abuse, and then they hook you in by love bombing you. So therefore you just sit there and like, oh my God, maybe it's gonna change. And what keeps a lot of victim into a narcissistic relationships is because we already hooked. You already hooked into this, toxic relationship. It's a supply for the narcissist, so they can't afford to lose you. So they will continue to manipulate you, abuse you, and then love bomb you to make sure you stay even longer. Because if they continue to just devalue you, what's going to happen is you're going to actually wake up to it and say, you know what? I'm done. But if they're able to manipulate you and then, abuse you and then love bomb you, you will stay because you have this hope they will get better. They will get better, but it never gets better. It gets worse and worse and worse until either you or him disregard one another. That's just the reality of narcissistic relationship, And during the devalue phase, oh Lord, can I just say the roller coaster, the ups and down, It's emotionally numbing. It's the worst abuse anyone can go through. And I do not wish anybody to ever go through that abuse, And sometimes they do it so subtle that when your friends and family, actually, when you complain to them, they look at you like you're being crazy. Like, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Your narcissist was just here, giving us hugs and giving you a hug and kissing all up on you. Is because they're so good at pretending. They're so good at putting up a mask. If they can show anyone who loves you and cares for you that they're this loving human who wants the best for you, then it cuts them off a support system for you. Because if you go cry to them about what's happening to you in your relationship, they look at you like, oh, you crazy. That doesn't make sense. That's not true. And that gives him an opportunity to be able to basically tell your family, like, no, she's crazy. Gaslight you to your family and tell them that you're not right with your mind, So devalue phase is one of the worst. It's you being here and boom, knocked out. Now you're down there. All the good things you did, all of a sudden are the bad things. All the qualities the narcissist seen in you, they're no longer good now. Now you're the worst and you can never do anything right. And you find yourself in this place of, what am I doing wrong? I am trying and trying and trying. My dear, that is a devalue phase. You are being devalued. And 90% of the time when you're being devalued, there's your replacement being love-bombed. Because the narc cannot afford to be by himself. He cannot afford to not have that source of supply. He has to keep a source of supply. And whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It does not matter to a narcissist. Even if it means putting you down, that is still a source of supply. It doesn't necessarily mean that a source of supply is this good emotion, this feel good. No. Devaluing you is a source of supply for a narcissist. They feel powerful. They have the power to change your mood, your day, to either make your day or ruin your day. That is control still from the narcissist. A devalue phase is the middle of the relationship. It's the honeymoon phase. Well, I can't even call it honeymoon because it has nothing to do with the honeymoon phase. I'll just call it for what it is. It's a love-bombing phase. Now it's rubbing off and they can no longer keep up that mask. And now we move into the devalue phase where they actually disrespect you, call you names. And the things that they claim they loved about you, now they're telling you they never loved those things. And a lot of time, victims find themselves trying to pull left and right to keep things going because they're already hooked, right? It's like a drug for both of us. It's like a drug it's a drug for the narcissist, and it's also a drug for the victim, because the victim is struggling to keep things together. The victim is struggling to keep the relationship going, to think, oh, we could fix this, and the narcissist is feeding. It's like a vampire, just sucking the blood out of you constantly, belittling you, beating you down emotionally, making you feel like you're nothing without them. They beat you down so much emotionally to a point where you start to question your insanity. You start to question yourself. Am I the abuser? Am I the one inflicting this pain? Because they gaslight you so much. Now you don't even know anymore if you're the one doing it or if it's them anymore, because they project everything on you. And now you start to believe, because it happens so much, you start questioning yourself, is it me? Am I doing this? And at that moment, they're doing a great job devaluing you. Their point is being made. That's the whole point of devaluing and gaslighting. So please like below for more videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.